Dr. Miller's bio is in the program. I will just share a couple highlights. Dr. Miller earned her bachelor's degree from Vancouver Bible College. She has 2 master's degrees from Talbot Seminary as well as Azusa Pacific University, and her Ph.D. is from the University of Nebraska. Dr. Miller has made a lifetime career of empowering others. She directed the Developing Leader Coaches Capstone program for Doane University's Master of Arts in Leadership program until she retired in 2022 after 35 years of teaching and administrating in higher ed. Will you please join me in welcoming Dr. Dana Miller?
Good morning, everyone. What a glorious day for a celebration. Graduates, congratulations. We are here to celebrate you. And I hope you feel in your core what an accomplishment it is to be sitting there today. I don't know if you know the numbers, but according to the 2021 census, less than a quarter, just 23.5% of the U.S. population has earned a bachelor's degree as their highest degree. Only 13% has earned a master's degree, and just 2% has earned a doctoral degree. So what you've achieved is significant, and we are incredibly proud of you. This is my 37th year celebrating with our graduates. I interviewed on this campus in the spring of 1987. I didn't know much about Doane, but one phrase in the college catalog stood out to me. It said, "Doane's mission is to develop leaders for life." I loved that, and it didn't take long for me to realize that I wanted to be part of that mission. It's a bit surreal that 40 years later, almost, I am still here, and Doane is still deeply committed to, as President Hughes says, building leaders. Leadership is about influence, inspiration, and impact. And this morning I want to share 4 lessons that I've learned from leaders, mentors, who profoundly impacted me. I learned these lessons early in my career, so they've withstood the test of time, and they have shaped who I am, how I live and lead, and even what I teach. And perhaps best of all, they're lessons that I continue to learn. The first lesson is about the importance of being present. In April 1983, I was presenting my master's oral. I was going through my list of goals, and one of my mentors said to me, "Dana, I have no doubt that you're going to do all of those things that you want to do. I hope you can also learn to just be." At the time, I didn't quite get what she was saying, but it stuck with me. And over the years, I learned about the power of pause, about the importance of being fully present with myself and with others. It remains one of the most challenging lessons I continue to learn. We use Kevin Cashman's book, Leadership from the Inside Out, in our Capstone courses. In it, he talks about how noisy our lives have become. We're bombarded by so much external stimuli, so many distractions. He says we've become human doers and have lost sight of our heritage as human beings. We know that being present is important for our personal well-being, but research also suggests that if we want to be great leaders, we need to be present. This reminds me of something one of our master's degree students shared years ago. We'd been discussing the importance of being present and how that connects to listening at deeper levels. He was a supervisor at an aerospace engineering firm. One night he came to class and said, "I always thought I was a good listener, but we just did a 360-degree feedback review, and it turns out my employees think I'm a terrible listener. I'm not present, and I don't hear them." Fast forward 3 months to his oral presentation when he said, "I brought a table into my office. I call it my listening table. Now when I meet with people, I walk away from my desk and my computer, and I sit with them. I work to be fully present and to listen. He said that made all the difference in his ability to connect authentically with his employees. Just Thursday, I was having coffee with one of our grads from years ago. She's going through a pretty traumatic time, and when I asked her, "What are you doing to take care of you?" she said, "I'm taking time to be present and in the moment. I go out on my deck, I watch the cows, and I just soak up nature." And then she started laughing and she said, "Do you remember that class activity that you made us do?" I love when students say that. "When you took us to the park and made us sit still and just try to be present in the moment." She said, "I couldn't do it, and all I did was complain." What I did not expect Thursday was 8 years later, she said, "That activity changed my life. I don't know how I would get through all of the chaos that I'm going through if I didn't take time to be present. That is what grounds me." The second lesson is about the power of purpose. In the early 80s, I worked for Chapman University in Southern California. My boss was the most dynamic woman I have ever known. Caring, creatively brilliant, and so high energy. During training our second year, she said to us, "Our mantra this year is, we're going to do less, better." I remember being surprised to hear those words come out of her mouth. Of course, she wasn't saying that we weren't going to work hard. Doing less, better was about priorities, about paying attention to our purpose, to what was most important, and making sure that the time and energy that we invested was in alignment with that. A few years ago, Kevin Cashman gave the keynote address at a coaching conference I attended, and he shared one of my favorite stories about purpose. While leading a team building session for a company in Europe, the group visited a monastery. They met with a Buddhist monk who at one point asked Cashman, "How many days do you have left to live?" The question stunned him, but eventually he said, "About 6,000. The monk asked, "So if you have 6,000 days left, do you want to waste any of them? Do you want to spend them in anger or frustration or not living your purpose?" Cashman challenged us to do the math. Very often in my gratitude journal, I record the number of days I've been alive. As of today, that's 25,785. If I live 10 more years to 80, that's 3,652 days. None of us knows how many days we have left, but I do know that I don't want to waste them. I want to live and lead on purpose, and I want to make a positive difference for others. The third lesson is about the value of perspective. I went through a painfully difficult time in my early 30s, and I ran into one of my greatest mentors, a professor from grad school, at a conference. We talked a bit about what was going on, and he said to me, "Dana, you've been given a gift." And I'm sure I looked at him strangely, but he added the gift of experience. That was one of those light bulb moments when I began to shift perspective and think about that question, what are the gifts in this experience? In her book, Gift Mindset, Renee Giarusso describes 12 gifts that leaders unwrap when they reframe challenges into opportunities. Those include things like gratitude, contribution, connection, courage, empathy, resilience, and growth. She says, imagine creating a gift mindset culture where our biggest lessons come through embracing, not resisting, the challenges we experience. In an interview with Oprah, author Michael Beckwith shared a powerful quote: "Pain pushes until vision pulls." He explained that when we face challenges, when we're in pain, whether personally or professionally, there's always a larger purpose. There is always potential. He said, potential is infinite. Potential is always larger than our problems. What a gift my mentor gave to me 40 years ago when he challenged me to shift perspectives and ask that question, which I continue to ask. What are the gifts in this experience? The last lesson is about living and leading from a place of love, or from the heart. My older brother was my first friend, and he was a great mentor. He introduced me to the book, Managing from the Heart. It's a parable about a man named Harry Hartwell, who was a composite of the poor leaders the authors had observed in their consulting work. Harry was the CEO of an oil refinery. He was a cold, uncaring, disagreeable man who belittled employees, and who employees referred to behind his back as the abominable no man. One day, Harry had a heart attack, and he woke up in the hospital to a woman standing near his bed. Turns out the woman was an angel who had the discretionary power to send him back to his life, which he begged her to do. She essentially said, these are my words, what a waste it would be to send him back, the miserable man that he was. But she agreed to let him return with the caveat that he had to learn 5 lessons in order to stay. Those 5 lessons, she said, think of them as the silent requests that people are always making of you. They're framed around the word heart. The H is hear and understand me. The E is, even if you disagree, please don't make me wrong. The A is, acknowledge the greatness within me. The R is, remember to look for my loving intentions. And the T is, tell me the truth with compassion. The book is about Harry's remarkable transformation into a caring, compassionate man who learned to lead with heart. It's easy, at least for me, to lead cerebrally, to stay in my head. It takes a lot of courage to lead with heart because it involves vulnerability. In her book, Dare to Lead, Brené Brown says, we desperately need more leaders who are committed to courageous, wholehearted leadership and who are self-aware enough to lead with their hearts, rather than unevolved leaders who leave from a place of hurt and fear. We need leaders who are present, who live and lead on purpose, who see potential and look for gifts, and who lead with their hearts. Graduates, we need you. We need your knowledge, talent, skills, passion, vision, dedication, and we need your heart. The personal lessons I've shared with you were life-changing, and they speak to leader impact. When I think about leader impact, and I tell students, impact can be positive or negative. I think about Maya Angelou's wisdom. She said, people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Graduates, I'm hopeful as I think about the potential for positive impact that each one of you has as you continue to create your leadership legacy. I'll leave you with a challenge in the form of a quote from one of the greatest leaders in the last century, Nelson Mandela. It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it. Again, congratulations.